Government orders telecom firms to block off public access to JPEG's platform. Actor Julian Chung Chi Lam is assisting the police investigation on the JPEG scam. British Prime Minister makes major U-turn on green policy. Hello and welcome to TVB News. Police are believed to have requested local telecom providers to block access to the JPEX platform. A cybersecurity expert suggested the measure may not be the most effective way to combat fraud cases in the city, including the JPEX case. Memo Singhai has details.
From Wednesday evening, some CSL and 1010 Telecom users could not access the cryptocurrency trading platform JPEX. By this afternoon, users of other main telecom operators, including SmarTone and Free, also experienced the same situation. In October last year, a communication system was established between police and the telecom providers to prevent residents from accessing scam websites. Malware analyst Anthony Lai said while the blocking measure shows the stance of the law enforcement agencies, it is not the best solution as users can still apply VPN to gain access to their accounts.
From the security perspective, everyone, if they are still interested in the JPEGs, they can still access the website or the application. So that's why it is not quite effective for consideration about the victims. If they can't access their accounts, they feel nervous. That's why the VPN is another solution for those victims to keep up to date about their account status because they still want to try to withdraw the money from their accounts.
Lai said the long-term solution should be an exchange of information between the SAR and overseas authorities.
The law enforcement in Hong Kong need to submit some kinds of subpoena or some kinds of proof to other countries' law enforcement.
The AB lawmaker Holden Chow, meanwhile, believes it is time for legislation for cybersecurity. Memo Singhai, TVB News.
The number of alleged fraud victims linked to virtual asset trading platform JPEX has risen past 2,000. Reported losses have stacked up to some $1.3 billion. It's understood actor Julian Chung Chi Lam, who promoted JPEX, has been summoned by police to help with investigations. So far, a total of 11 people have been arrested in connection with the case. Jackie Lin with details.
The troubles deepen for cryptocurrency platform JPEX, which is said by both the police and the Securities and Futures Commission to have masterminded a scam involving some $1.3 billion. Among the latest individuals to be summoned by the police to assist with investigations was actor Julian Chung, also known as Chi Lam. He was the brand ambassador for JPEX. Police also made 3 more arrests. It's understood 2 of them are cryptocurrency exchange managers, including online influencer Stanley Chu. Another one is believed to be the assistant of Coin Young Master Wang Ching-kit. JPEX has said it will continue operations amid the investigation. In a turn of events, its Australian unit was found to be applying for deregistration with the country's Securities and Investments Commission. Its application suggested the company's total assets amounted to around 5,000 Hong Kong dollars. Meanwhile, JPEX also offered a proposal to its users. In its plan to set up a virtual company via blockchain, the company said it would publicly allot 49% of its shares in stablecoin Tether, worth some $400 million. Users could swap their Tether bought on JPEX for the Tether shares. JPEX said they would buy back the Tether shares from users after 2 years with extra dividends offered. That's another round of scams, said former JPEX client Mr. Chang, who has lost $440,000 to the platform. Mr. Chang said no one can be sure whether JPEX would run out with the money after 1 or 2 years. Lawmaker Johnny Ng reminds residents that JPEX is a virtual platform, not subject to any corporate laws or regulations. Blockchain specialist Louis Lee said JPEX still owns some $100 million worth of stablecoin Tether and suggested the police seek to freeze the relevant virtual assets. That would at least offer another avenue for alleged victims of JPEX to seek compensation, Lee said. Lee added the police have yet to track down individuals who control JPEGs behind the scenes, whose identities have so far remained a mystery. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
The Consumer Council's computer system was down today, reportedly due to a cyber attack. The Office of the Privacy Commissioner for Personal Data has been alerted and has begun investigations. The Consumer Council posted the special announcement saying the disruption happened this morning. Services affected included complaints and inquiry hotlines, subscriptions, and oil price watch. As of 6:30 p.m., the watchdog said services are gradually resuming. Sources told TVB personal information of users could have been leaked in the alleged hack. The Consumer Council will hold a press conference in the morning to explain more. President Xi Jinping will attend the official opening ceremony of the 19th Asian Games in Hangzhou. The Foreign Ministry said she will be present at the opening ceremony on Friday and Saturday. A series of events for international guests will be held, including a welcome banquet. Cambodian King Norodom Sihamoni is among the invited guests. Russian President Vladimir Putin revealed he has accepted an invitation from President Xi Jinping to visit China in October during the Belt and Road Summit. Putin made the remarks when meeting with Wang Yi, Beijing's director of the Office of the Central Commission for Foreign Affairs in St. Petersburg. Wang arrived in Russia on Monday on a 4-day visit following weekend talks with U.S. President Joe Biden's national security advisor in Malta. Daniel Rao tells us more.
Russian President Vladimir Putin formally accepted an invitation to visit China in October during a meeting with Wang Yi, the director of the Office of the Central Commission for Foreign Affairs in St. Petersburg. It would be Putin's first known trip abroad since the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant against him over the deportation of children from Ukraine, an allegation that the Kremlin denies. In their meeting, Putin said Russia is willing to cooperate with China to resist unipolar hegemony and bloc confrontation and safeguard international fairness and justice. Putin said President Xi Jinping's visit to Russia in March this year marked a new era in the relationship between the two countries. The Russian president stated since then important agreements reached between the two sides have been steadily implemented, resulting in positive outcomes in various fields such as economic and trade cooperation, cultural exchanges, and sports. Putin stressed Russia highly appreciates and firmly supports the Belt and Road Initiative. Wang told Putin China and Russia should work together to safeguard the common and legitimate interests of the two countries. He said as two permanent members of the Security Council, China and Russia bear important international responsibilities for world peace, stability, and development. Wang added the two sides should continue to enhance mutual trust and make new contributions to promoting the development of the international order in a fair and reasonable direction. Wang also said he would listen to Putin's ideas about his visit to China next month and convey them to President Xi Jinping. The two sides also exchanged views on the current international and regional situation. On the Ukraine issue, Putin reiterated Russia's willingness to resolve it through dialogue and negotiation. Dunwell, TV News.
In a major reversal of Britain's environmental policies, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak announced he will delay the ban on new gasoline and diesel cars by 5 years. Sunak insists the country must slow the move to net zero because it is too expensive. David Garrett reports.
Rishi Sunak has made a U-turn on a major green policy, specifically on petrol vehicle sales and their emissions. The UK has seen itself as a global promoter of net zero greenhouse gases. The Conservative Party said they'd ban gasoline cars by 2030, so all new automobiles would have to be electric by then. Not anymore.
That we're going to ease the transition to electric vehicles. You'll still be able to buy petrol and diesel cars and vans until 2035. Even after that, you'll still be able to buy and sell them second-hand.
The Conservatives have been accused of flip-flopping on many policies. The Prime Minister said this change is necessary.
Bring the country along with us and save families thousands of pounds. And there's nothing watering down about that. But that's why I have no problem whatsoever defending it, not just to my daughters, who, quite frankly, these aren't, it's not them who are going to have to fork out 10 grand.
Environmentalists are aghast, saying Sunak's broken the Conservative Party's election promises.
There are practical reasons why we're not ready, but this also makes me very angry. Why hasn't the government made sure that we do have electric charging points distributed around the country? Why hasn't all of the legislation been put in place?
Sunak's top ministers jumped to his defence, saying the nation is relieved.
Taking into account people's bank balances, livelihoods, the way that they are living their lives and the cost of living challenges that many families around the country are facing. And ultimately, we're not going to save the country by bankrupting the British people.
Some believe it's a short-term fix to try to win back voters at the next election in about a year. Critics say long-term, this move could be catastrophic.
If we delay our target or scrap it altogether, we're only really doing damage to our own business, because going green is the way the rest of the world is going. And we're in danger of falling behind that and missing out on that growth that comes with it.
The reaction has been mixed. Some are complaining they'd already forked out on greener choices in advance. The real test of the new approach could come at the election. David Garrett, TVB News.
Canadian diplomats in India have received threats on social media, its High Commission said on Wednesday, adding that it has decided to temporarily adjust staff presence in the country. And India on Wednesday urged its nationals in Canada, especially students, to exercise utmost caution as ties deteriorate after each nation expelled one of the other's diplomats in an escalating row over the murder of a Sikh separatist leader. Tension has grown since Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said Monday that Canada was investigating credible allegations about the potential involvement of Indian government agents in the murder of Hardeep Singh Nijjar in British Columbia in June. Still ahead, Financial Secretary Paul Chan is in London to promote Hong Kong. U.S. Attorney General under fire from lawmakers for favoring Joe Biden's son over Donald Trump. Britain's King Charles makes first visit to France as monarch. Welcome back to TVB News. On a trade promotional trip in the UK, Financial Secretary Paul Chan said Hong Kong national security law has reinforced the confidence of international investors in the city. Chan made his comment in London, where he arrived on Wednesday for his Europe trip. Paul Chan spoke while attending a dinner organized by the Hong Kong Trade Development Council. The event welcomed around 400 leaders from different UK industries, including the former Governor of Hong Kong, David Wilson. In his speech, the Financial Secretary said the SAR has stepped out of the pandemic and reconnected with the mainland and the world. Chan added the SAR will reinforce its status as an international financial center. Figures from the Census and Statistics Department showed overall consumer prices in August rose by 1.8% over the same month a year earlier, slightly lower than market expectation. Netting out the effects of all the government's one-off relief measures, the year-on-year rate of increase in the composite consumer price index in August was 1.5%. That's slightly lower than the 1.6% recorded in July 2023. A government spokesperson said overall inflation should stay moderate in the near term, and external price pressures are likely to abate further. Overseas, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland was grilled on Capitol Hill Wednesday. He was facing tough questions and accusations centered on whether his office was biased in the special counsel investigating Hunter Biden. This while Garland is overseeing 2 cases against Donald Trump. Republicans accused the Justice Department of favoring the Bidens while targeting Trump. NBC has more.
Tonight, Attorney General Merrick Garland firing back at Republicans accusing him of weaponizing the Justice Department.
I am not the president's lawyer. I will add, I am not Congress's prosecutor. The Justice Department works for the American people.
But Republican lawmakers grilling Garland over what they call a two-tier justice system.
There's one investigation protecting President Biden. There's another one attacking President Trump. Justice Department's got both sides of the equation covered.
The GOP zeroing in on the special counsel investigation of Hunter Biden, alleging Garland was misleading when he said there was no interference in the investigation into the president's son. Garland was pressed if he had any conversations with special counsel David Weiss regarding the case.
I do not intend to discuss internal Justice Department deliberations, whether or not I had them.
So your testimony today is you're not going to tell us whether you've had discussions with Mr. Weiss?
My testimony today is I told the committee that I would not interfere.
Two IRS whistleblowers have testified under oath the DOJ gave preferential treatment to the president's son, and that Weiss told multiple people he was not in charge.
He wanted to bring an action in the District of Columbia, and the U.S. attorney there said, no, you can't. And then you go tell the United States Senate under oath that he has complete authority.
No one had the authority to turn him down.
Weiss has denied the whistleblowers' accounts. Democrats today calling the hearing a political stunt.
This is a gross misuse of your time, your team's time, and our time. It is a shameful circus.
With Garland slamming GOP criticism.
Singling out individual career public servants who are just doing their jobs is dangerous, particularly at a time of increased threats.
The U.S. Senate has approved Joe Biden's nomination for the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the highest officer in the military. Air Force General Charles Q. Brown has been promoted to the post. The 61-year-old replaces Mark Milley, whose term ends next month. Brown was confirmed in a vote that went 83-11 in his favor. The former fighter pilot brings command experience in the Pacific at a time of rising tensions with China. Some Republicans have been blocking military appointments. Britain's King Charles and Queen Camilla arrived in Paris on Wednesday for a 3-day state visit to France. King Charles and French President Emmanuel Macron hope to build on personal bonds to help turn the page on years of rocky relations between the two neighboring countries. Tracy Furness has more.
Britain's King Charles and Queen Camilla touched down in Paris Wednesday for a state visit to France that should have taken place in March, but was postponed due to tense protests in the streets of Paris over pension reforms. The royal couple was welcomed by French Prime Minister Elisabeth Borne at Orly Airport. Then they headed to a ceremony at the Arc de Triomphe, where President Emmanuel Macron and King Charles paid tribute to French and British soldiers who died in 2 world wars. Jet fighters of the Patrouille de France and Britain's Red Arrows did a flypast above the monument. The royal couple and President Macron then headed to the presidential palace, parading on the Champs-Élysées. King Charles and President Macron held a bilateral meeting at the Élysée Palace, where they discussed the joint commitment to better protect biodiversity and combat global warming. Then they walked to the nearby UK ambassador's residence, greeting and shaking hands with well-wishers along the way. Parisians happy to catch a glimpse of the king.
You know, the French are a big fan of the royal family, the UK family royal. So I just want to see the big deal in real. So now I'm waiting with all of the people around me. Maybe we can shake their hands, maybe we can talk to them, so we'll see.
A grand dinner was held Wednesday evening in King Charles's honour at the Hall of Mirrors at the Palace of Versailles. Camilla and Brigitte Macron appeared to have coordinated, both wearing navy blue evening dresses. And such luminaries as Rolling Stones frontman Mick Jagger, British actor Hugh Grant, and international football star Didier Drogba, former Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger, And French football manager and former Arsenal player Patrick Vieira were on the guest list. Macron toasted the king by honouring the late Queen Elizabeth. Tonight we are thinking deeply about her and about Prince Philip in receiving you and the Queen, he said. And King Charles toasted his host in French, hailing his country's solid friendship with France. The king will end his trip on Friday with a trip to Bordeaux, home to a large British community. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
That is the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.